This is MLB Now. We are the show for the thinking fan. Welcome back. Good to see you again. I'm Brian Kenny. Al Leiter and Hannah Kaiser on the panel. Ex-Angels manager Phil Nevin will join us, former All-Star and College Player of the Year back in the day. We've got our baseball he plays, and what is the proper use of the DH slot? 50 years later, still a question. But first, an interesting night in baseball. Now, I know it's all small sample size theater at this point, but some early indications revealing themselves in the opening week. Let's do a little digging in. Gotta start with this. No-hitters are good, clean fun, as long as you don't get too crazy. In the old days, there'd be headlines, history is made, and I think we have more of a proper appreciation of what is still a rare event. Complete games and shutouts, rare enough these days. But here's Ronel Blanco, 30 years old last night, has all of 58 major league innings under his belt. He's got an ERA up near 5 for his career, but he was sharp last night, facing a real offense, too, in Toronto, allowing just 2 walks. Always more memorable, too, when you have a signature defensive play, and this one came in the ninth. Jose Abreu, desperate to complete that play, and he did. Great play. Only 4 no-hitters last year, by the way. There were 9 in 2021. That's the record. Only 6 of the last 12 no-hitters has been an individual no-hitter. The less memorable combined no-hitter is now more prevalent. There was another very good pitching performance yesterday, kind of overshadowed by the no-hitter by Blanco, just as his contract was overshadowed by Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Yamamoto got 12 years, $325 million. Shota Imanaga got a more modest 4 years, $53 million. It's real money, but he's more affordable. But the Cubs believed in Imanaga. He's 30 years old, had a solid career in Japan. Yesterday, Cubs home opener, he was dealing. 6 shutout innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks. It was against the Rockies, I know, but that's a dominant debut. He doesn't have the overwhelming stuff that Yamamoto has, but it was Imanaga who led Japanese baseball in strikeouts last year. Speaking of pitching, the Red Sox staff is off to a very good start. They lead the majors with a 1.42 ERA. Their starters have 37 strikeouts and 1 walk. It's early, I know, but this was supposed to be the weak point of the team. And yes, they beat Oakland last night, but they split 4 with the Mariners to open up, and the Mariners are a legit club. Be aware, the Red Sox have a new chief baseball officer, Craig Breslow, former pitcher, smart guy, analytic. They brought over pitching coach Andrew Bailey from the Giants. He did big things there with that staff under Gabe Kapler. They also have a new director of pitching, 33-year-old Justin Willard. So, these are people with a plan. They are heavy on the breaking stuff. They're the second highest in baseball in throwing pitches other than a fastball. Only the Guardians have a higher non-fastball usage. But to hone in on that further, just get in on the actual, isolate that number. They really avoid throwing the 4-seam fastball. Look at these percentages. That is the fastball that's thrown the hardest. 4-seamer, you grab it by 4 seams. It's relatively straight. It's for maximum velocity. The Red Sox are dead last in 4-seam fastball usage. They throw it just 11% of the time. Now, is this the way to pitch? Maybe. It's a quick blip. All we know is that early on, the Red Sox are having success, seemingly, with some applied tactics. I want to know what you think on X at MLB Now. You can talk about that. Or I'm going to ask you, do we still love no-hitters? Al Leiter is here, so you know his take. But let us know how you feel at MLB Now. Al Leiter, Hannah Kaiser. Al, go ahead. Do we still love no-hitters?
Of course we do. I don't know about combined no-hitters. I know we have to, appreciate a feat, but to have, 5 guys, 6 guys, and I know that the Astros have done that at least once before. I know when Billy Wagner was even there.
Multiple
times.
Yeah, combined no-hitters, yeah.
No, it's a feat. Of course it is, right? I mean, you're a starting pitcher, especially with your brethren loving to do openers and
get him out. Get him out as soon as possible,
out, right? This is the sentiment. I know you don't really mean that because you don't win a championship without front-end guys.
I kind of mean it, but I get it. I think it was distorted in the old days. Like, again, Hannah wouldn't know. But in the old days, it was just like, and a guy could I remember I think it was Adam Wainwright actually had a start like 10 years ago, and he had like 15 strikeouts, no walks, and he gave up 1 hit. And then like Homer Bailey threw a no-hitter. It was Homer Bailey makes history. I'm like, come on, that was a better performance.
True, although to the point about the combined no-hitters, I agree. Combined no-hitters are kind of just like, well, that's part of the game now that pitching is so good and batting averages are so low. Combined no, in some ways, the rise of the combined no-hitter re-emphasizes how impressive the solo no-hitter is.
True.
Because it's tough to be allowed to stay in the game, even if you have a no-hitter going. In some ways, to me, that makes the one pitcher, Blanco had 105 pitches or something. That is truly impressive. To get through 9 innings in any fashion with 105 pitches is impressive. To get through without giving up a hit is even more impressive. You're thrilled. You look thrilled.
Sorry to interrupt, but there was a no-hitter in the World Series. Do we remember it?
It was a combined no-hitter.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. I know.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. But the fact that teams are willing to take out a guy who has a no-hitter going, put in a reliever, put in another reliever, put in another reliever, that makes what Ronel Blanco did to me even more impressive. Sure. Especially he had never gone deeper than the 6th or something. He had never.
Well, it takes a confluence of forces though, where like it's his age. Like if you're managing him, a lot of times if it's a prize prospect or something, you go to get him out. But he's 30. He just got there. You got to give him a shot. Plus his pitch count was reasonable. Even going in there.
We don't care about the 30-year-old pitchers.
Yeah, it's nothing.
But that 23-year-old.
You have a tendency to do I want to let this guy have his shot at attaining this achievement? And you got that sense last night that that's what you wanted.
He had 91 pitches going into the 9th?
Yeah.
Ended up with 104?
Yeah, it's reasonable.
Come on,
That's beyond reasonable. That's what we let guys throw that.
By the way,
into the
he wanted to be Mauricio Dubon there. Like that was a slow roller. He had time to think about it.
Yeah, don't mess it up.
He was so there was so much. He barely celebrated in the dog pile after because he was just like, whew, I'm glad I did that. And Dubon made 2 good plays. He's on our baseball plays all the time. He made 2 good plays. Here's the other one that was like a deflection. And this is also, what was this the 8th inning? The 8th inning.
Yeah.
So he had just come into the game defensive purposes. Imagine being this as a deflection, but he had time. It was Kirk running. He had time. That's not an easy play.
It is. And to bring in 4 to preserve the no-hitter, right? I assume.
Yes. Well, and credit to the Astros offense for putting up, 10 runs so that way they could afford to do that, bring in a defensive replacement. I think even though this does lump in a little bit, the combined no-hitter, we got to talk a little bit about just what the Astros are able to do. They are responsible for 4 of the last 7 no-hitters, all 4 thrown by Latin guys. Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, who had started 2 of them, and now Blanco started the franchise's last 4 no-hitters. And these are all guys, this is the age that they were signed at. You never see guys out of Latin America signed at 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
I think the way that everyone now scouts these Latin countries, everyone has academies in the DR or whatever it is, to be able to find still an edge in that market, whether that's guys who were overlooked when they were teenagers, whether that's guys who've changed positions, which I think was the case with Blanco and now are newer to pitching. But just it's a credit to their scouting and it's a credit to their player development that they're able to find, this is incredible. They have a starting rotation worth of guys who no other teams were even interested in.
Right, they got in early. I think for the previous administration, too. I want to point out, Al Leiter had a no-hitter. You're so humble you didn't bring it up. Was that, let me guess, 129 pitches? What was it?
No, surprisingly, it was not. I think it was,
103, they're telling me in my ear now.
103.
Wow, efficient.
Can you believe
How many walks did you have?
I'm going to say 2.
That's right. Wow.
And I hit Ellis Burks. And Larry Rothschild in the first inning came in, and he just chewed me out. I think I hit a guy, I walked a guy, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And beep, beep, beep. I'm like, Larry, take it easy, take it easy. But we had a big lead, so it was also similar. Like, it wasn't a matter of, oh, boy, you're going to lose a no-hitter, maybe you lose the game. We won 11.
Did you think about that? Did the big lead make it easier?
No. So I'm crazy a little bit. So, my whole thing is this pitch, execute, and focus, blinders on. So when the player's locked in this case a pitcher, you don't think about the other factors, which would be scoreboard, score, even count. It's
good Expos team too. Yeah, it was
Colorado.
Oh, it was Rockies?
Yeah.
Oh, it was Rockies.
Yeah, Colorado Rockies.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they were.
By the way, when you said you were crazy, you noticed that we didn't correct you. Oh no, Al, don't say that. Don't get.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
I know you might be a little sensitive to this too, because I know. Look, you can tell you have an inner computer that's working, but there's a whole baseball ops that is out there working on stuff. What do you think of what the Red Sox are doing with the lowest force? And to explain, a four-seam fastball is your hard fastball.
Yeah.
They throw it 11% of the time. It's the lowest by far. What do you make of that?
So a few things. Personnel. I mean, I know that a lot was said about the amount of fastballs that they threw up in Seattle. Well, let's extrapolate who they're facing, who the batter is, what's your staff? Is it a sinker slider staff? Do they rely on movement? Do I have a rotation that guys that throw 95 to 100? No. So there becomes this pitch repertoire of having to be effective based on your strengths. And boy, where is it ever? I mean, change-up, sliders, curveballs all weekend up in Seattle. Turns out a lot of free swings, especially right on right. Brian Bayo would be the only one that I would think with the plus velocity. I know Pivetta is good, and you got Hoken, but generally speaking, I wanted to show this because it's interesting. And Hannah, you alluded to, pitchers are better and it's harder to hit. Well, I'm gonna go as long as I can that when the approach changes and you have hitting coaches that tell you to give your A swing. This right here, you see right here, from 2008, which is the farthest back we go with StatCast, right on up to 23. So the average velocity, we had more fastballs thrown slower, and we have guys. This is only starting pitchers, folks, and I didn't include two-seamers. I didn't include cutters. So this is two-seamers and four-seamers. That's significant. Somebody at home is like, oh, it's only 2.5 miles an hour. No, folks, that's hundreds of.
So why are they throwing it fewer times? If the velo has now climbed to 94, why is it being thrown less than half the time?
So, fair. Hitters can hit a speeding bullet in some cases if they know it's coming. And I think the scatter reports, BK, and I've seen enough of them, that it's very specific to Brian Kenny. On hitter counts, 202 on 3-1 counts. He's batting 079 on off speed. It gets really that specific. Or even Hannah on 2-0 counts, right on right, doesn't hit a curveball. Depth, velocity, take a little off. She doesn't hit it. She's batting 028. So you get this information.
What was your percentage back in the day? Because back then it was like command your fastball.
Command your
primary
fastball.
thing. What was your percentage? Probably 70%?
Well, I think when I first got called up, it was you pitched off your fastball.
Yeah.
And I threw hard. I was a guy that threw 95 or better.
Which was fast in the day. It's like 95, that's it. 95 was real smoke back in the day. Go ahead.
Yes, you pitch off your fastball, and I still believe that. And I love Andrew Bailey. I mean,
what do you tell your son?
Pitch off your fastball. Command your fastball.
Does he? He's in the Texas Rangers.
He's getting better. He's getting better. He's getting better.
No, but I'm saying, I wonder what they're telling him. Are they telling him, hey, lay off your fastball, just throw all this,
the opposite.
Come back with it? Really?
Oh,
so
yeah.
He's working off his fastball still.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then
how hard does your son throw?
He was up to 98 on Saturday.
So that's real smoke.
Right. Yeah, he's got a good arm.
Yeah.
But on metrics, and you'd appreciate this, it's probably a whole segment if you let me, but it's not just velocity, it's the metrics within that. When you have the illusion of a four-seam fastball that maintains gravity, so long as you're 16 inches or above, and not to get in the weeds, you have a fastball that looks different than everybody else.
Okay.
So the metrics also will apply. That's why I say with the Red Sox and what Andrew Bailey and I'm sure Breslow's involved, is that they're looking at their pitchers going, yeah, let's get to our sliders, let's get to our changeups, sprinkle in your fastballs.
That was the point that I wanted to make, that it's a personnel and an opponent calculation that they're making. That's exactly what you were saying, which is certainly Andrew Bailey also took a similar approach when he was with the Giants. But Greg Breslow, who was with the Cubs before, didn't. They threw tons of fastballs. There are two factors. One, league-wide fastballs are dropping across the league. You had that point. You asked why. Well, league-wide batting average last year was 248 on all pitches, 268 on fastballs. That's why they're throwing fewer fastballs, because it's easier to hit the fastball. You have your hand up, but I would like to make one more point.
Go.
He sees two.
You brought up Brian Bella.
No, go ahead.
You brought up Brian Bella, who does throw very hard. But last year, his fastball, which he threw 20% of the time, was his worst pitch. Opponents slugging 646. If you look at the last two seasons, 2023, 2022, according to StatCast, they have it as his worst pitch by run value, worth -9 runs in 2022, -8 in 2023.
Put your hand down.
He does throw hard, but they came in and they said, you know what, scrap it entirely. Didn't throw a single one.
Hannah, I will tell you this right now, and we're getting in the weeds. Fastball command. There's one thing with just going, okay, Powder River, right down the middle, and they're teaching guys that. Oh, you got a plus fastball. Throw it down the middle because it's not getting down the middle. It's dumb. We're taught, and I was not great control. I led the American League walks. I led the National League walks. Guess what? I had to catch and go like this, and I tried to throw it away, and I tried to throw it in. You have pitchers now, the mentality is, well, you throw hard, plus velocity, down the middle, it'll move. Guys like it down the middle. So if it doesn't get to where you want it, outside, inside, up, down, that's very hittable. Command. you lose command based on bully fastballs. Guys that throw really hard, it's a blessing and a curse.
It's funny because we walked out here and you were talking about like the rise of baseball ops and how large it gets. All you want to do is be in baseball ops. Like, can you imagine? It's all you just to talk about the shape of a pitch. You could do it all day long.
Is what you're
so
saying.
This is all you. That's all you really want to talk about. And I love this. If you let me do a segment, you just did. You just did. All right. Other news, serious news right now. Larry Lucchino, you probably heard this earlier in the day. Former club executive has passed away at the age of 78. Lucchino worked for a number of clubs, the Orioles, the Padres, instrumental in getting Camden Yards and Petco Park built, and was most notably the president of the Red Sox during their rise to the top, leading the Sox from 2002 to 2015. This from Peter Gammons. Larry Lucchino's passing is heartbreaking for so many. He changed sports with Janet Marie Smith Camden Yards, again, the architect of Camden Yards. He saved Fenway and the Fens and brought Theo Epstein with him. Look what he's done for Worcester. Brilliant, emotional. Again, Larry Lucchino, most recently the president and owner of the Worcester Red Sox. He's in the Red Sox Hall of Fame as that club won 3 World Series titles on his watch. No cause of death has yet been given. He had been battling kidney cancer in recent years. Larry Lucchino was 78 years old.
There is a speed bump on the front. 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 There is a speed bump on the front.